Let's jump to this story from the Post-Millennial. My friends, if you're interested in watching people who are cognitively deficient opine on things for which they are not capable of understanding, look no further than The View. Whoopi Goldberg says Biden could throw every Republican in jail if Trump wins immunity case. I do not understand why Whoopi Goldberg thinks there's a correlation between presidential immunity and literally every Republican. He literally could do that now. He just sends the DOJ to go after Republicans, and it could happen. I mean, if that were to happen, it would rip this country to shreds. But sure, Post-Millennial reports. Actually, you know what? We'll play the video because, wow.
Well, the Supreme Court won't hear oral arguments until the end of April. Now, let's look at a scenario where the Supreme Court says, yes, he has all those rights. He is immune from everything. Yeah. You know what Joe Biden could do since he is presently president?
What?
Whoa. He could throw every Republican in jail. I mean, he could. I mean, no. This is not a good thing.
Psychopaths clapping.
Totally, he can go. What this means is he could do anything.
Yeah.
No,
he could.
It literally doesn't. It means if he does, he would get impeached and convicted. And if it was serious enough, he could then be criminally charged. In fact, the argument is only as it pertains to the official duties. And no, arresting all Republicans would not be arguably official duties. He could argue that, but quite literally, if the Democrats want to get into a match of, we will go out with military force, I mean that figuratively, not literally, like highly weaponized individuals or heavily armed individuals to begin arresting every Republican, you are basically saying Joe Biden right now could declare civil war and win. Like, you realize if Joe Biden got a bunch of people to use the threat of lethal force against Republicans to arrest them, yeah, that would be the end of the United States. That would be the end of democracy. Lady.
Could dismiss everybody's debt.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of great stuff that could happen, but let's really look at what this means.
Yeah. So they're basically kicking the can down the road, though. They're not taking up this case immediately.
Right.
So what's their motivation then? If we all know that they can't do what you just said because of the extreme power that a president would have, what is their motivation for not doing it right away?
Well, unfortunately, some people are saying the motivation is that there are certain conservative justices that have been appointed by Trump that want to help him. And because we know the end result is if this case is not resolved by the time of the election and he, God forbid, becomes the president of the United States, the Justice Department policy is that you cannot indict nor put on trial a sitting president, right? And so it's his get out of jail.
He could throw him in jail.
So the American people know that Trump is accused of these things and he's the front runner anyway. You lose. These people are nuts.
They're like Hunger Games. Poo-poo. Like this rich woman on her TV show.
Why are the Supreme Court? And you notice it's like, well, some people are saying, who? The guy in the alley who's like sitting there sputtering to himself, covering his own boogers? Yeah, sorry. That's not legitimate. Some people are saying the reason the Supreme Court is taking it up in 2 months is because of their schedule.
And that's way faster than so many people.
It's really super fast.
That's incredibly fast. I think that's like, obviously these people don't track the Supreme Court that often.
Or they're lying.
Yeah. The lack of self-awareness is astounding to me too, because Biden is, in a sense, throwing people in jail for being Republicans. Like, if you go to Latin Mass, if you go to a school board meeting, and you care about, issues like that, the FBI is going to put you on a watch list. They're arresting Jan 6ers and throwing them in jail. I mean, to an extent, he's already doing this.
Steve Baker, journalist, has to surrender to the FBI office tomorrow over misdemeanor charges. And it makes no sense for him to travel all the way. Like, they're clearly just abusing their power.
Yeah, I mean,
this.
Biden has already weaponized the DOJ to go after his political opponents, whether that's an average voter, whether that's Donald Trump. So what she's saying here has already happened. It's kind of funny to me that she's acting like it's some crazy hypothetical. It's happening in real time.
Right. But she says, God forbid Trump is president, which is fascinating to me. You expect all of your viewers to be anti-Trump, right? You're not even considering that possibly there's a viewer who supports your show who might like Trump. There is this idea that if you are against anything, therefore, you don't deserve any fair treatment. You don't deserve a trial. In fact, if the FBI goes after you, they're warranted. If you end up in jail for being near the Capitol on January 6th, that makes sense. Like, there is a complete divorce from the idea that we have a justice system that tries people. They're innocent until proven guilty. You are socially convicted before you're illegally convicted in this country, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you hear the Supreme Court again. It's all these people have the same script, right? I think they're fed what to say. They're going after the Supreme Court again and saying, you know, that it's the Trump appointed justices that have his back on the court. That's why you see them going after people like Clarence Thomas. They're trying to get him to recuse because his wife is a vocal Trump supporter. So you see these efforts to kind of weaken Americans' faith in the Supreme Court and the decisions that they put out.
You know, this country needs, when Donald Trump gets elected, he should send the military to shut down The View and arrest all of The View hosts and then declare himself to the cameras president for life.
I think he should just demand to be on The View every single day for like a week and not let them do their show without him. I think that'd be funny.
I mean, the ratings would be massive.
Yeah,
Right?
even if he like said, you're all under arrest, I'm now president for life, and then they all laughed and joked, and then he sat down as the guest for the day, it would be top ratings. Everyone
They couldn't do
have a
anything
great
about
time.
it. But, like, what could you do? If Trump showed up to The View and was like, make way, I'm sitting down.
And he sits right in the middle.
Right in the middle. And then they're
It'd
like,
be
can we get
great.
security? And the Secret Service walks up and they're like, no.
They're like, he's like, I'm on this show now.
The
If you're going
building
to talk
has
about
been
me.
secured.
They'd love it if he came on the show. The ratings would be massive.
It would,
It'd be
and
great.
wouldn't that be funny if their biggest rated show, which we know it would be, was when Donald Trump was there, right?
It would be.
Any traffic driven to The View for the next month would be like, is Trump going to make a guest appearance? It would be the
Dude,
best thing
if
that
you
could
started
happen.
It'd
to
be
doing
him.
funnier
The
if he
View.
showed up and was like, you're all being arrested and we're shutting your show down. And they laughed. And then like guys with guns came in, like military guys. And they were all like, right this way, ma'am.
Yeah, I don't want them arrested because, like, again, I get worried about free speech stuff. But
Nope, no more free speech. Gone.
No, oh, sorry, I
no,
forgot.
no more democracy.
No more democracy.
Democracy's illegal.
King Trump said no, thank you.
It's funny. I tweeted out the other day, democracy should be illegal, and got like 1,000 retweets. And like a bunch of liberals are being like, they're admitting it. I did it in honor of Jack Posobiec, by the way. Shout out, Jack.
Yeah,
went up on stage and
that
made a
pillow
joke, and
salesman.
then-
I've heard about that guy.
And then all of these like CNN and MSNBC are like, he wants to end democracy. And I'm like, me too. And I tweeted it out. That was fun.
Yeah. I just really think a Trump View appearance it's the best move in my opinion.
They get 2.5 million viewers.
That's crazy.
Per episode.
Just wait and find out what Trump could do for their show.
Man,
I'm glad it exists, but
why? Why are you glad it exists?
Because it's an opportunity for people like that to vent, but it is also, and I like that it's out in public so I can see like the minds of Joy
Yeah.
Behar. I want to know what she's going through right now.
That's what I like. I
what are
like
people
being able
that-
to see what someone who's like in a completely different sphere. It's the same reason I like to listen to NPR pretty regularly because like the way they are presenting information that I know, especially if it's something I've been covering pretty intensely, it's like, oh, you guys don't live in the same world as me. You guys are completely freaked out by different stuff.
You can take a look at how CNN frames things. I love this article that CNN's got on Matthew Martin. Let me pull this one up. He's the J6er who was acquitted because the cops told him to come in. And take a look at this. Here's the title. Man who said January 6th was magical acquitted in U.S. Capitol riot case. Okay. How about a headline of man who said police waved him into the building acquitted in Capitol riot case? Or how about judge agrees, police officer appears to wave January 6th protester into building. Judge acquit, finds defendant not guilty. Look how they write this. They say federal judge found Matthew Martin not guilty in 4 federal misdemeanors related to trespassing, marking the first time U.S. Capitol riot defendant was acquitted of all charges. Martin, who worked for a government contractor, blah, blah, blah. At least one video played during the trial appeared to show an officer moving his arm in a waving motion. So you mean the judge and agreed? That cop's waving him in the building. So when I was covering this stuff earlier, I was like, I got to get that video where the cop's like, I disagree with it, but I respect it. The cops are holding the door open. Okay. So what happens is some guy by himself, it walks out a door and opens it. When he does, other protesters grab it and hold it open. Cops come into the hallway and a bunch of people start walking in and a cop says, I disagree with it, but I respect it. A handful of cops then walk to the inner doors, open it, and an officer holds the door open for several protesters. And then once they get to the door, the protesters take the door, hold it open, and then everyone walks in. January 6th, the great insurrection, when Capitol Police said, I respect it. Okay. But look how CNN frames things. Instead of actually saying, A video at the trial showed the cops wave the guy in. They just lie. And that's how this media operates. Whoopi Goldberg says things that make literally no sense. And the 2.5 million people who watch mostly are just passively listening. And now they're going to go and regurgitate that, and they're going to go repeat it, and they're going to say garbled nonsense.
Whoopi's in a rough state too. She's slowing down.
She's old.
I haven't noticed. The last year ago, she wasn't.
What's her name? Carol?
Is that Whoopi Goldberg's
She
real
had
name?
to
Is Carol?
read off a
changed
card,
her name.
arrest all Republicans.
Yeah,
Like, that was rough.
Right.
Yeah, she had to write it down.
She's phoning in. She's in late stage human, and I don't want to do
Yeah,
this
her
to
name's
humans.
Karen Johnson.
I feel kind of bad shit
She's a
talking
Karen?
my
Her name's
elders
Karen Johnson.
in the world. I got a lot of respect for these people, and I've always enjoyed Whoopi's work. People like that are, but also sometimes you got to seize the reins when the system is faltering, and you can't just be like, my respect for you will let you keep driving us into the ground. Sorry, guys.
I've got a great idea for a meme series. Patrick Stewart, Captain Picard, walking into 10 Forward to meet with Guinan for advice, but it's The View, Whoopi Goldberg saying nonsensical, garbled nonsense, and then Patrick Stewart reacting either positively or negatively.
Yeah.
So he's like, Guinan, I need advice. And she's just like, Biden should arrest all the Republicans. And then just so Patrick Stewart be like, what? That'd be great. If I had time to do it, I'd make those, but someone else should do it. And then just post a bunch because they'd be funny. Just, edit out Whoopi Goldberg and put her in Star Trek. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. This is what people are consuming in modern media. And so, unfortunately for you, it's what you all have to live with.
Where do you get your news from, Kingsley?
I get a lot of my news from Twitter, honestly. I feel like it's a good curator for a lot of different outlets. So I would say I get most of mine from there. I also go to people's profiles who I like and see what they're talking about, like Posobiec, Bannon on Getter. I see what they're covering that day.
Yeah.
I watch War Room every morning too, watch you guys.
Aw.
Yeah. Basically don't watch any cable news. That's kind of my rule.
Yeah, I think the internet does empower people to find sources they trust and listen to them, which could be bad theoretically if you have someone who's just actually making nonsense up. But it's a very different experience than if you were dependent on cable news.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.